Hi guys, welcome to another tutorial here on IT.Tutorials. I am Josef Botnar. This is meant to be an attempt to create a full C Sharp course, which will be part of a playlist here on my YouTube channel. This is meant to be a C Sharp course from beginner to advanced. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to go through and to get to the end of this course. The goal of this first lecture or tutorial, you can name it as you like, doesn't matter. It is what is C Sharp and .NET. So let's dive in. So all the apps created by C Sharp run on .NET. C Sharp is a general purpose programming language. That means you can build everything with C Sharp, starting with console apps, going further with desktop app, with mobile apps, with machine learning, and so on. Now C Sharp is built using .NET, which is a open source and cross-platform. That means C Sharp can run on multiple platforms, like not just only Windows as it was before when C Sharp was built on .NET Framework. Now we can run C Sharp apps actually on Linux, on Android, iOS, yeah. So we can run the C Sharp on multiple platforms. C Sharp is a object-oriented programming language. That means we can create a block of codes named class. The class is a type. The class can have its own members like fields, properties, methods, which can be used outside of the class. And in this way, a code is much better organized and safer because you will see later, using object-oriented programming language, we can use some principles like encapsulation to hide parts of the class or specific members of the class from the outside, yeah, which makes a code written in object-oriented programming type much safer. C Sharp is a sensitive case. That means we have to follow the rules when we write types, statements. All these rules are the part of a common language specification, which is a Grinders must be followed by all the languages part of .NET, such as C Sharp, Visual Basic, F Sharp, ESP.NET, and so on. C Sharp is a very strong typed language. That means we have to declare the type before we are using the variable. For example, yeah, if I want to use whole numbers in my code, that means I have to declare the type. I have to tell the compiler that this variable is a integer variable. Yeah, which makes beginning from this point C Sharp very safe compared with Python, where we don't declare the type. The type is determined by interpreter. C Sharp is a compiler-based language. That means we are using, or C Sharp is using a compiler to compile the source code to native machine language code, which is the only code can be understood by a processor of computers. So the native machine code consists of 0 and 1. Or just these two figures or bits are understood by a processor, 0 and 1. We talk more about this feature compiler-based language of C Sharp later. And C Sharp has the ability to manage the memory. This is very important. This makes C# a very safe memory language, unlike C++, which is not a safe memory language, unfortunately. Yeah, so let's go further and dive in. So all the apps created by C# run on .NET. Now there is a lot of confusion around .NET. I tried my best to eliminate or to clear this confusion around .NET. So Microsoft consists by an ecosystem. This ecosystem consists by following. So all these are platforms. So we have part of this Microsoft ecosystem, .NET platform, and the following versions, version 5, 6, and 7. 7 is the latest one. 6 is long-term support. .NET Core with the following versions, starting with 1.0 up to 3.1, which is long-term support, as you can see. Mono, which is a .NET implementation for running app on all major mobile operating systems, and the old platform which was used to build applications by C# is .NET Framework. .NET Framework is not cross-platform. It is used to develop applications that run only on Windows desktop or servers. No major releases are planned. The latest version is 4.8, which will be supported by Microsoft further. This makes .NET Framework a old platform, and unfortunately I wouldn't recommend to build from now on C# apps using .NET Framework, because it's not cross-platform and you will be able to run your apps just on Windows desktop and servers. If you build apps using .NET Framework, you are not able to run your apps on Linux, on Android, on iOS. Yeah, so that's why I don't recommend to use .NET Framework to build apps by C#. C# apps built on .NET Framework run on a virtual execution system called Common Language Runtime, or briefly CLR, and a set of class libraries called Framework Class Library, or briefly FCL. Probably you have seen in other lectures Base Class Library, or briefly BCL. Yeah, BCL is part of Framework Class Library. Framework Class Library consists of BCL, which is a base class library, and the collection of classes which is used to build desktop app, Windows Presentation Foundation apps, mobiles app, and so on. CLR is a runtime engine that is used to execute .NET Framework applications. VCL is a collection of classes that are used to develop .NET Framework applications also. Yeah. Now this is very important. .NET Core and .NET are cross-platform. All my lectures and the examples part of this course, part of this C# course from beginner to advanced, will be done using .NET, .NET 6 and .NET 7. C# programs built on .NET run on a virtual execution system called Core CLR, which is similar actually what I've done here. I got a bit lost in this PowerPoint slider. So let's go here. So practically what I wanted to tell you is that core CLR from .NET is similar with this CLR, yeah, from a .NET framework. That was my point, yeah. And also .NET is using a set of class libraries called CoreFX, which is similar with the framework class library. Core CLR is a runtime engine that is used to execute .NET applications. CoreFX is a collection of classes that are used to develop .NET applications. C# apps are run on .NET in the following way. The C# source code is compiled into an intermediate language or IL code. The IL code is converted to bytecode, which is written in assembly language. That means the IL code is not a native machine code and is stored in an assembly, which typically is a DLL, but could be .exe, also extension file. Further, the IL code is loaded into Core CLR. The Core CLR performs just-in-time, or briefly JIT compilation, to convert the IL code to native machine language code. As I told you, the computer or the processor of the computer understands just the native machine language code, which consists of only 0 and 1. The IL code generated by C# can interact with code that was generated by F#, Visual Basic, and C++. To resume, so the C# source code is compiled first into an intermediate language. After, the intermediate language code is loaded into Core CLR, which performs just-in-time compilation to convert the IL code into machine language code. So in this way runs or function the C# apps on .NET. As I told you, C# is a general-purpose language. What does this mean? By using C#, you can develop literally everything, starting with the desktop apps using Windows Form or Windows Presentation, Foundation or .NET MAUI, or Universal Windows Platform apps. You can build web or cloud apps using ASP.NET or Blazor or Razor. You can develop mobile applications using Xamarin or .NET MAUI. This is the newest, and it's recommended to be used from now on because it's cross-platform. And we can develop games as well using C# and these engines like Unity or Monogame. Also, we can develop machine learning, Internet of Things, Windows services using C#. That's why we call C# a general-purpose language, because we can build everything using this programming language called C#. As I told you, C# is an object-oriented programming language. That means C# is able to define blocks of code called class or classes, struct or record. Class practically is a type, and we can create objects using the class. So the class can have its own objects. An object basically is a block of memory that is allocated and configured according to the class. A class can have its own members like fields, or we can call them variables because the functionality is the same, properties, methods. Using object-oriented programming, C# can specify how accessible its members are. That means the methods, fields, can be hidden to be used from outside of the class to limit the potential code errors or malicious code. This is so-called encapsulation. This is just one of the principles of object-oriented programming. Yeah, just I wanted to highlight the importance and the advantage of using object-oriented programming. As I told you, C# is a safe memory programming language. C# is able to perform automatic memory management. What does this mean? C# run on Core CLR if you are using .NET. The Core CLR has a garbage collector that has the ability to free the memory from the objects that are not longer referenced. In this way, it is not needed to free the memory explicitly by programmers, as it is done using C++. In C++, we don't have a garbage collector, and the programmer explicitly needs to free the memory from the objects that are not longer referenced. That makes C++ to be a unsafe memory programming language. And the leaked memory is a high risk to be happened in C++, unfortunately. Also, C# is a very safe programming language compared with Python and C++ because this core CLR include specific services which makes C# very safe, such as memory management, which I was talking previously, type safety, exception handling, and garbage collection, and thread management. So that was my lecture regard to what is C# and .NET. Hopefully you like it. Hopefully now you are more clear regard to .NET platform. See you to the next lecture.